Hi and welcome to my channel. Today's reading is a collective reading for anybody who is wanting confirmation that we are connected to a higher source, that there is a spiritual battle that is currently going on in the world. Now, as I was doing my pre-shuffle, this card popped out. Also Metatron and Yahil. Wisdom and philosophy. Metatron is the celestial scribe. If you ever were doubting that we are connected, that things are written into the fabric of how things play out in the world, the soul connections that we have with people, the people that we are meant to come across in our lifetimes, the good, the bad. This reading, my intent for this reading is to give you that confirmation, that clarification, to know that there is something bigger spiritually at play, that we are all connected to a higher power. Now, I've just loaded up a reading called Poetic Justice, which kind of touches on some of these themes, but I couldn't sleep last night. And so about 4 o'clock in the morning, I was up and I was editing that video and sort of jumping off and on social media. And something popped up in my feed. And I do believe that we are shown things at times that are appropriate for what we are working through at the time and for where you as an individual are spiritually. For me, I believe that I am a messenger. The spiritual gifts that I have are part of imparting that knowledge to other people, helping the collective raise their vibration spiritually, helping the collective realize that we are in a massive spiritual battle between the dark and the light. And that battle was written in the Book of Life. Metatron is the Book of Life, written way before we even took our first breath in this lifetime. So as I said, I was scrolling and something popped up on Instagram, and it was a man, a theologian, a theologian in America. He had read the recent report about the investigation that was done into the killing of Hind Rajab, the young 6-year-old Palestinian girl that was killed in the car in Palestine by an Israeli tank on the 29th of January. Now, as I said, that independent investigation showed that at close range, between 13 and 17 meters away, that tank shot into that car, killing her aunt, her uncle, and her cousins. But she was still alive, and she made a phone call to the Red Crescent, which is the ambulance, to come and help. She was still alive. So the ambulance came, and we all know what happens. Well, I'm presuming you know, but the tank fired at the ambulance, killing both paramedics, shot 355 bullets, killing Hind as well. Now that vehicle wasn't found, or they weren't able to get access to that site until 12 days later. So if you think of 355, now that phone call made most of the news channels around the world. This phone call of this little 6-year-old girl surrounded by dead bodies of her family, calling for help. 355 bullets were fired at that vehicle. So this man that I saw his post on Instagram, a theologian, the number 355 struck him, and he went researching. Now there's a book called The Book of Strongs. It was written in the 1800s, so 200 years ago, I think the 1820s. And it was a reference for people who wanted to study holy text, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And what this man, his surname was Strong, so it's called Strong's Concordance, this book. What he did was he alphabetically listed every word in the old text, the old Hebrew text, from the Old Testament and from the New Testament. And he listed all of those words alphabetically and then referenced where you could find those words in the Bible. So if you were looking for a specific word and wanting to see how many times, for example, it was in the Bible or it was displayed in holy text, you could use this Strong's Concordance as a point of reference. So this gentleman, his Instagram post, he searched up 355. Something guided him to search that up. And what he discovered was 355, which was the number of bullets fired at that vehicle. 355 in Strong's Concordance, in this index. The 355th word listed in Strong's Concordance, and as I said, they're listed in alphabetical order. The 355th word is a word in Hebrew called ayila, which means hind or doe, as in a baby deer. But hind. Hind's name recorded as the 355th word listed alphabetically in ancient Hebrew text. She was fired at by the Israeli army. And if you don't think that what is going on at the moment is a spiritual war between good and evil, then these sorts of things, the reason that potentially you've stumbled across this reading is maybe to confirm something that you already picked up on or to give you insight into the bigger picture. Now, I was discussing this morning with my daughter. I'm Catholic, she's Muslim. The three Abrahamic faiths, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. In Strong's Concordance, we have Christianity and 355. That listing that I mentioned relates to the Hebrew text. Those three religions are part of what is known in a broader sense as the Abrahamic faiths. The foundations of those religions all start at the same point, which is why I believe it's played out this way. Now, as I said, I was talking to my daughter this morning and she straight away referenced a scene from Harry Potter. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but she sent me through a video. And it was about when Harry discovered that he was intrinsically connected, his fate was connected to Voldemort. From the time that he was born, his fate was connected to Voldemort, just like Hind's fate was connected to that Israeli soldier behind the gun of that tank, who for some reason, he didn't fire 354 rounds. He didn't fire 356. He fired 355. Now, Hind's name appears in that text 3 times. She had been there. Her fate had been there all along, just like Harry Potter's. Now, I'm not saying that, something in real life is, but it is a great metaphor for what's actually currently playing out, and a great tool for anybody who is not quite convinced that things are connected. Now, in a bit of poetry, that particular scene in Harry Potter, where he discovers how everything is connected, his mother appears in that scene as a deer, a doe, a hind that dances across the screen, almost like an angel. Again, connecting this whole storyline that I'm picking up on. We all have soulmates in this lifetime. Hind, unfortunately, was karmically tied to that soldier in the tank that day. And in a spot of irony, tied to Hebrew text. Very, very reminiscent of, if I go back, and obviously we're talking about, the world here. The world is 21. If we're talking about the world stage, the spiritual battle that we are all part of, the battle between good and evil. If you go back and you look at somebody like Hitler, who did atrocious things to the Jewish people, and then ran and hid with his girlfriend, who, at a later stage, many years after they passed away, it was discovered that his girlfriend was actually Jewish, unknowingly Jewish. There's almost this twist of fate where you get that irony. The irony is that the man who killed millions of Jewish people was unaware that the woman that he loved was Jewish. The man who fired the 355 rounds or 355 bullets was unaware that Hind's name and that amount of fire was intrinsically connected in Hebrew text. So I'm going to pull some cards. I don't know where I'm going with this reading. I just felt really called to do it. Metatron is the celestial scribe. Metatron writes in the book of life. We have the World card. As I said, when I did a pre-shuffle, these were the cards that came out. And then wisdom and philosophy. This is where we, as a collective, get the insight, like that man did. Posted this on Instagram this morning. Get the insight that something bigger is playing out. Number 62. 6 and a 2 adds up to 8. 8 is this year. 2024 adds up to an 8. It is the number of karma. It is also the number of abundance. So karma is you reap what you sow. So if you've done bad things, that's what you get back. If you have lived a life in a kind, generous way, then you will receive that back. Within the Islamic faith, now, I can only go on what I know from the people around me, but you hear them all the time. When somebody has passed away in this atrocious war that's happening, they say things like, God is sufficient. We come from him and we return to him. And though it won't bring her back or her family back, the fact that that beautiful little girl's name is literally written in the book of life actually brings great comfort to me. So I'm going to pull some cards. If you are here for the first time, please like, share and subscribe. If you are returning, welcome back. A bit about me first. I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I receive messages prior to a reading. I will then come and use my tarot and oracle decks to further clarify the message. I'm not going to get a whole heap of cards out today. All the cards that I use on my channel are my own design. I'm also an illustrator. So if you call to any of those, the links are in the description box. But I just want to pull a few cards. Actually, I think I'm going to use this deck. Just going to see where we go. Important as you go through your spiritual journey, 5 of Cups. Important as you go through your spiritual journey, that is Mars in Scorpio, death and rebirth, something ending, and heartbreak. As you go through your spiritual journey, it is really important to look into things like what your name means. Stop and listen to the signs that you are getting. Queen of Cups, follow your intuition. Queen of Cups is highly, highly intuitive. Now, the other thing that when I started, I was doing my pre-shuffle, a beautiful white feather fell in front of where I'm doing this reading. I could see it out the window. Now, white feathers in spirituality symbolize purity and new beginnings. But in World War I and World War II, actually a symbol of propaganda. Now, in this particular instance with Hind, when that happened, the Israeli military stated on record that there were no tanks in the area. Propaganda. Not realizing that Hind was actually written into the fabric of holy text. Really, really important to follow your intuition. If you're thinking about something, do a bit of research. Wisdom and philosophy. Knowledge is power. Is the Lovers. That is Gemini. Gemini used to be called, or the Lovers card used to be called a choice. It's the choice between good and evil. Gemini is also Mercury, which is communication. information that comes to you that gives you a broader picture of what is actually happening collectively on a spiritual level. As I said, the white feather, Israeli military said, no tanks in the area this day. Independent report said, yes, there was one 17 meters from the car, fired 355 bullets. And now it's connected on a spiritual level to holy text. The battle between good and evil, a white feather is propaganda. You need to, I guess, as I said, any of this reading is for anybody wanting confirmation that we are connected to a higher power. Don't just believe, Queen of Cups here, don't just believe what you're told or what you hear or what you see. You need to close your eyes. Queen of Cups is intuition, and connect spiritually. Because that's when you really get the truth. Strength. Strength is number 8. As I said, 2024 is number 8. These are coming to light. People who have had strength, brute force. I think of the Cowardly Lion, brute force. Had this big roar on him, but he was a baby. And I'm not talking about you. Ace of Wands on the bottom. The Strength card is Leo and the Sun. Now, what's happening at the moment? We are currently in a Pluto and Aquarius transit. Pluto is in Aquarius for 20 years. Pluto is the Judgment card. Major revolution. The last time it happened was 248 years ago, and it was when we had the French Revolution and the American Revolution, where people, Aquarius is the people, stood up against the people in power, Leo, because on the axis, the opposite of Aquarius is Leo. People stood up against the people in power. And we're seeing that worldwide, because what people are seeing, the propaganda that they've been given, they're actually doing the research themselves and realizing that what they're being told is different from what's actually happening. They're using their intuition. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And with strength, they are standing up, which is what's meant to happen. They're standing up on a world stage. You think of all of the boycotts that are happening around the world. That is Pluto and Aquarius. Ace of Wands. They're lighting a match. Ace of Wands is Aries, Leo, Sag. They're lighting a match under it. They're not believing the propaganda. They're recognizing that some of these things, like this man who put this post up this morning on Instagram about the number 355 and its connection with Israel or Hebrew text, and this little 6-year-old girl, like Harry Potter and Voldemort, they were karmically connected. And people are, look at this, 9 of Wands underneath, and the moon underneath that. People are seeing through the illusions, and they're lighting a fire. You think of, people holding torches and lighting a fire. Let's have a look. We've got the 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands is the Sun in Aries. There's this big breakaway happening. 2 of Wands is the plans that you made. 3 of Wands is putting them into action. They're changing course. People aren't being spoon-fed anymore at this battle of good versus evil. They're not being spoon-fed anymore. 8 of Cups, look at that. They're walking away. People are walking away from the propaganda and recognizing that what is happening currently in the world is on a spiritual level. It is a massive spiritual awakening. 8 of Cups is Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is the world card. They're walking away. And I tell you, the amount of people that are, it's not called converting, it's called reverting. The amount of people that are converting or reverting to Islam because of what they are seeing by these Leo energies that effectively rule the world. And these individuals, I watched a video this morning of a little boy, he was maybe 8. He'd had his hand amputated. His whole family had been blown to smithereens. Their home and the neighbour's home had been blown to smithereens. He was talking about he was playing soccer with his friends, but his friends died in the bomb and he'd lost his hand. And the reporter said to him, he was happy. I think he was happy he was alive. The reporter said to him, you know, where's your hand? And he said, it's gone to heaven. You know, these Palestinian people that are showing the most, how do I say it, godly-like composure and accepting what is given to them versus somebody who stands 17 meters away in a tank or sits in a tank 17 meters away and lets out 355 rounds on a little girl in a car and kills her and her family and 2 paramedics. There's a spiritual revolution happening. People are not underneath the tower. People are not having it anymore. And readings like this, where you can see that there is a direct link, things that are written and written thousands of years ago in text, God has a much bigger plan for all of us. Tell me about this lovers. That was the tower wanting to come out again. Okay, so we've got the 7 of Pentacles. Seeds that were planted. The propaganda that was planted. Page of Wands. 7 of Pentacles is Saturn in Taurus. The propaganda that was planted. The Page of Wands is Saturn in Sagittarius. Watching, people watching, observing, getting the spiritual truth, getting the intuitive downloads. And the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles is Saturn in Capricorn. 3 Saturn cards here. And the World up there, which is Saturn, the end of a cycle. It's the end of this propaganda. This change of people starting to recognize that the people that they were investing their time and energy and support in are actually thinking that they were the good, are actually the evil. That's what's happening. Again, the Tower's on the bottom again. Give me one card for this Strength card. Yeah, the Fool. Now, the Fool is Uranus. The Fool is a new beginning. People are walking away and they are doing that internal reflection of which side they want to be on, of where they are in their own spiritual journey. Perhaps some of this stuff is actually the catalyst for people's own spiritual journey. Now, what I will say is the Fool is Uranus. Uranus is the planet of earthquakes. In the French Revolution, as I said, Pluto is in Aquarius for the next 20 years. During the French Revolution, which was in 248 years ago, the French Revolution happened because the powers that be were siphoning all the money and were living this lavish lifestyle, and the people in France were poor. They were not being taken care of. And God, now I have many readings of this on my Pluto and Aquarius playlist, but basically God stepped in my opinion. God stepped in because normally within a Pluto and Aquarius transit, there is some big natural disaster that happens. God stepped in. France had been sending money that they had across to America to help Americans fight in the American Revolution, because they had a hatred for the English, and of course the Americans were fighting for independence from the English, and so France had sent all this money over there. Sounds very similar to what's going on at the moment with America sending money across to Israel. France had been sending money across to America, basically cleared out all the coffers, all the banks, and there was nothing left for the people, but they were still living a lavish lifestyle, the monarchy. Judgment to me came from God, and a volcano in Iceland called Laki, L-A-K-I, which means lucky or fortunate, exploded and blanketed a cloud of ash over Europe for 8 months, which meant all the farmers' crops were all destroyed. They couldn't grow anything. There was no sun. And they were really, really, really in a spot of bother. And so they revolted against the monarchy. That was the French Revolution. They took the monarchy down. Now you can see that's happening currently, well, across universities across the world, currently in a big way in America, but also currently happening in Israel. Thousands of people trying to take the government down. Instigated, as I said, in the last Pluto and Aquarius transit by a massive big volcano. Another Pluto and Aquarius transit, I can't quite remember the dates, maybe something around the 1200s. A huge big volcano happened in Indonesia, which blanketed a cloud of smoke across Europe, across England, across Scotland. That was the time of William Wallace, if you think of the Braveheart movie. People rising up. New beginnings, wanting new beginnings. And at the moment, we are seeing all of this earthquake, volcanic activity happening around the world. Ace of Wands is fire. Sorry, I turned that around the wrong way. Ace of Wands is fire. Okay, let's get some more cards. And strength on the bottom. People rising up. 2024 is the year of karmic abundance. You reap what you sow. People taking back their power because they're getting spiritual enlightenment. 8 of Cups, taking back their power, walking away from the things that don't serve them spiritually anymore. The propaganda. The BS that they've been spun. The Hangman. Now, the Hangman is an epiphany. People are getting these epiphanies, these aha moments that allow them to break free from the spell that they're under, almost, from what they were always told. Okay, so we've got the Hierophant, which is the structures. That is religions, cultures, things that you were told. Specifically religions. The Hierophant is number 5. The Hierophant is Taurus and Venus. The Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the tarot. Things that you have been told, lies that you have been fed for an extended period of time, almost ingrained into your psyche with the Hierophant. That, for example, I know we can hear it. There's an ambulance. If you've been seeing the number 911, that's a spiritual awakening. Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight. It is the stuff that you've been told for a long time and you're breaking away from it. Queen of Swords is a truth. Queen of Swords is Uranus in Aquarius, which is the earthquake card. A spiritual awakening, a spiritual earthquake. And it's what's meant to happen. And as I said, perhaps we will have some big cataclysmic event. You know, if I think about all the money that America has sent to Israel to fund what's currently happening there, if something was to happen in America and they've sent all their money somewhere else, you could understand why the people of America would be up in arms. Well, they're already up in arms that their tax dollars are being spent on missiles and war equipment. Is that the right word? But as I said, you know, we've got Metatron, the book of life. History repeats. And it wouldn't surprise me, and I don't want to see anybody hurt, but it wouldn't surprise me if something happened in America. Or even something, you've got all those volcanoes that are happening, that are sort of simmering, you know, in Italy. If any of those volcanoes erupted, the effect that it would have on that whole area. Okay, so that's the Two of Cups. Two of Cups is a soulmate card. That is somebody that you have a soul tie with. Now, it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be platonic. It can be somebody that you learn a karmic lesson from. As I said, I believe that Hind had a soul contract with the two men in the ambulance, and she also had a soul contract with the man behind the gun that fired at the car. That was all meant to play out that way. She probably also had a soul contract with Macklemore, who wrote a song called Hind's Hall, which gave, in some way, I was saying this to my daughter this morning, in some way, you almost get this image of God saying to Hind before she came down onto the earth, Hind, I've got this job for you on earth. You're not going to be there very long, but your time on earth is going to be powerful. Your name is written. Two of Cups, that's Hind's card. Okay, I'm going to get one more. Actually, I was going to get one more, but I don't know. That's why I was going to get one more. So we've got the Three of Pentacles. She was bound. She was bound. Those three people, the man behind the gun, all bound. The religions, Abrahamic faith, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Wheel of Fortune, it was her fortune. Unfortunately, it was not her fortune. Now, as I said, that volcano, that Icelandic volcano was Lucky, which is fortune, the Wheel of Fortune. It was what was written for her in this lifetime. The Queen of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune is number 10, and it's Jupiter. The Queen of Pentacles is Uranus in Virgo. Again, Uranus is that earthquake card. The spiritual earthquake, maybe Hind's legacy is that she woke a lot of people up spiritually. This information wakes people up spiritually. Her little life of 6 years wakes people up spiritually. Uranus in Virgo. And we have the Judgment card, which is Pluto. So we've got Pluto and Aquarius. Judgment. Judgment is people coming to a spiritual realization that the propaganda that they're being sold or have been sold for an extended period of time is all, I want to say, marketed to extend a war. It's almost like this big juggernaut that's just going and going, and it's under judgment. Their fortune is going to end. As I said, we've got the boycotts going. Obviously, in America, you've got the presidential election that's coming up. People's fortune will actually be determined by how awake we are as a collective, specifically in America. Okay, let us get, people want a new beginning. Let's get some oracle messages. Transformation. This is my Divine Messages Oracle deck. Collectively, we are going through a transformation as we connect with this information that There's a bigger spiritual battle going on. Impenetrable energy. Once you actually make a decision, once you actually connect with yourself on a spiritual level and recognize who is actually good and who is evil, your energy becomes impenetrable. The propaganda can't get in. Why? Because you have a spiritual connection. I think of, as I said before, those people in Gaza, when their whole families are lost and they still have a spiritual connection with their God. Now, Allah means God. It's the Arabic word for God, with their God. It's not a different God, it's the same God. It's the same God, lighthouse. They've got something guiding them. Interestingly, light also means El, which is one of the Hebrew words for God. Yeah, they're listening to their higher selves. Time to listen to your higher self. My biggest advice is actually disconnect from mainstream media. It is all propaganda. I haven't watched the news in, to me, if something, I go looking for information. If I want to know something, I'll go looking for it. If something really dreadful has happened, people will tell me. Evolution of the soul is part of our spiritual evolution. We're going into the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is the rebel. And we're removing the toxicity from our lives. Hidden things that are done in the dark. We are removing the devil from our lives. Let's have a look at what angels are walking with us. Okay, I'm just going to get those. Number 5, that's change, harmony and occult wisdom. Everybody's tapping in or beginning to tap in to their higher self. Occult wisdom is, watching things like tarot readings, recognizing that there are connections between things like that number 355 and Hind. Looking further than what you just see on the news. 68, healing. 25, spiritual wisdom and magic. And liberation and defender of the truth. Defender of spiritual truth, that's number 29. Okay, I don't want to use those cards. I might get a moon oracle. Thank you. When the moon waxes crescent, it's your cue to set fresh goals and dreams. That is a spiritual awakening. Okay, and finally, I'm going to get some Scrabble tiles. Now, in here is Scrabble tiles. They've got letters and numbers on them. It could pertain to anything. I really don't know what's going to come out. I'm going to call out the letters and the numbers, and you feel free to put words together to whatever is connecting you to your current spiritual journey. Okay, we have a D and a J, a W, an M, W4, M3, J8, D2, a H and a 4, a Y and a 4, an N and a 1, an O and a 1, a V and a 4, a T and a 1, an X and an 8, a Q and a 10, a G and a 2, a B and a 3, an E and a 1, a U and a 1, and a C and a 3. Just seeing if I can find any words in there. I thought I had Hind, but I don't. But what I do have is the other meaning of Hind, which is a doe.